Hello everyone, welcome to the new video on World Mapping Series with me Indrajeet Bariar, Faculty of Geography GS and Geography Optional at RAU'S IAS Study Cell. So in today's video, we are going to take a look at the continent that is Europe, its physiographic divisions and other features of the continent. So first starting with the basic facts about the continents. And in that what you see is Europe as a continent extends almost through 36 degrees latitude as well as 15 degrees longitude. The prime meridian passes through this continent. Europe is the second smallest continent in the world, but yet it is the third most populous continent in the world after Asia and Africa. So first, as a continent, Europe now is separated in the east from Asia by Ural Mountain. So Ural Mountains separate basically the European part of Russia from the Asian part of Russia. So on the eastern side we have Ural Mountains, Caspian Sea, Caucasus Mountains, Black Sea. These are the borders between the continent that is Europe and Asia. After that, the continent is separated from Africa by Mediterranean Sea, and towards the west we have Atlantic Ocean. In the parts of Atlantic Ocean we have Bay of Biscay over here, we have English Channel, North Sea, Norwegian Sea, and towards the north of this continent lies Barents Sea. In the interior parts I have Baltic Sea over here and we have Gulf of Bothnia over here. Similarly, in this part of Mediterranean Sea, this region, this is called as Aegean Sea, and towards the north of Black Sea you have Sea of Azov. These are the most important water bodies surrounding the continent that is Europe. Now, taking a look at the continent, what we see is Europe overall itself is a peninsula. A peninsula primarily we would be defining as a water body, as a landmass which is surrounded on three sides primarily by the water bodies. Over here, but as a continent, Europe has four major peninsulas, the largest of the four peninsulas that we have. And the first of the peninsula is Balkan Peninsula. Balkan Peninsula roughly covers this part. This becomes our Balkan Peninsula. The second one, which is the Iberian Peninsula, which covers this part. So this is Iberian Peninsula. The third one, which is the Scandinavian Peninsula, and the Scandinavian Peninsula covers this part. And the fourth, that is the Italian Peninsula, and Italian Peninsula I can identify somewhere over here. So these are the four peninsulas of Europe. Now taking a look at these peninsulas in the political map. What I can see over here is this peninsula now covering right there from Croatia and moving towards Romania, Moldova, and so this whole section now, including Serbia, Bulgaria, and the parts of erstwhile Yugoslavia, this all becomes Balkan Peninsula for us. Then we have Iberian Peninsula, which is spread through Portugal, Spain, Andorra, and over here Gibraltar. And so this becomes our Iberian Peninsula. Then we have Scandinavian Peninsula, and the Scandinavian Peninsula is spread across Norway and Sweden. As far as Scandinavian countries are involved, we include Denmark also into that. And the fourth one, of course, now you can see over here would be the Italian Peninsula. So these are four peninsulas of Europe. Moving from here now, the next one, that is the physiographic divisions of Europe. The physiographic divisions of Europe, the first division that we identify is the northwestern mountainous region. And northwestern mountainous region roughly covers this section. The northwestern mountainous region. The second, that is the central lowlands, and the central lowlands, now I can identify it over here. These are called as the central lowlands. And the third section, that is the southern mountain system, and the southern mountain system roughly is going to cover these portions. So these are the primary physiographic divisions of Europe. Now in this case, if we take a look at this continent, more so over in this map, what you can see would be the highlands and the mountain part. And these highlands and the mountain part roughly are shown with slightly brownish shading. So I can shade it for you now. When we see this mountainous section, first I can see some mountain sections over here. This is the first part. Then I have the mountain system which is very clearly present over here in this part, that is the Scandinavian part. Okay, and then this whole section now has been shown as the mountainous region, this part as well as this part, which is the southern mountain system. So you can see the northwestern mountain system and the southern mountain system very clearly over here. In between that, this whole portion which you can see over here, this portion now would become the central plains. So this is how we are going to divide it. This is all the part which is central plains. So the northwestern mountain system, the central plains, and the southern mountain system. So the first one now, that is the northwestern mountainous region. And the northwestern mountainous region over here, I can identify two basic parts of the sections of northwestern mountainous region. The first section now, which is the Scandinavian. The Scandinavian mountains, or what is also called as the Scandinavian highlands. And in the map, if I have to mark it, yes, this becomes the Scandinavian mountain. So that's the first section, Scandinavian mountain system. And the second system over here which I can identify would be the system spreading across parts of UK. Roughly here what you see is this spread across Ireland, Scotland part, and the Western England. So in England, these mountains are known as Pennines. This is northwestern mountainous region. Then we have the southern mountain system. And the southern mountain systems, again I can divide it into two basic parts. What are these parts? The first one, which I'll identify as the alpine system. Now this alpine system is the new fold mountain system. And the second system over here, which I identify as the old block mountain. So southern mountain system, two sections over here. The new fold mountain system called as alpine system, and the old block mountain system. The alpine system now, what we see, alpine system, the alpine mountainous system, these are new fold mountain systems, and these system, the mountain system has been formed primarily due to the plate boundary interaction. That is, to be precise, the convergent plate boundary interaction. And this convergence is taking place between the Eurasian plate and the African plate. So African plate from the south is pushing, and now effectively African plate is now converging with the Eurasian plate, and African plate is subducting underneath the Eurasian plate. This resulted in the formation of this mountain system, and it is believed that alpine mountain system has been formed from the Tethys geosyncline. It is that same geosyncline from which the Himalayan mountain systems were formed. So with respect to the alpine mountain system, if we see different sections of alpine mountain system, the first present over here in Spain, which is the Cantabrian mountain system, Cantabrian mountains. Then we have right along the borders of Spain and France, we have Pyrenees mountain. Then moving across over here, we have what we call as proper Alps, and in this part we have Carpathians. Along with that, we have two branches of Alps, one moving along Italian peninsula, and these are called as Apennines, and the second one moving along the Balkan peninsula, and these are called as Dinaric Alps. So we have Cantabrian mountains over here, we have Pyrenees over here, proper Alps, Carpathians. On this side the branch Dinaric Alps, and on this side Apennines. These are the parts of the alpine mountain system. After that comes up now are the block mountain systems, the old block mountain system. So here we can see the old block mountain system. Now these block mountain systems, old block mountain systems, they are nothing but fractured remains of an old mountain system, and this mountain system roughly was extending in Europe over here, and it existed prior to the formation of Alps. So now when Alps were forming due to the pressure from Alps, now the old mountain system was fractured at a number of places, and now it is present in the form of block mountains. Now these block mountains can be identified as Mesta of Spain. We have the highlands in central France. Then we have over here the parts which are Rhine highlands, and then moving further over here in this part you have Bohemian plateau. So these are the parts where they have fractured from the old mountain system. Now this fracturing has given an interesting physiography in this whole region, where when the fracturing has happened, which is the faulting process, due to the faulting there has been the formation of the block mountain systems and the valley systems. So there are a lot of block mountains and the subsided ones called as the rift valleys now, and the most popular one definitely would be the Rhine Rift Valley present over here. With respect to the Rhine Rift Valley, now Rhine Rift Valley on the two sides are surrounded by block mountains. And so these block mountains, if I see on this side, that is on the France side, what I have is Vosges, and on the Germany side the block mountains are in as Black Forest. So Vosges on the side of France and Black Forest on Germany side, these are the block mountains, and in between that the subsided portion now is the Rhine Valley. Apart from that, now between these old block mountain systems and new fold mountain system, between these two we have the subsided portions which are there, which are present in the form of plains. And these plains between the old block mountain system and new fold mountain system, they can be found in Spain, they can be found in northern Italy, as well as moving up to over here as Hungarian plains. So we have two mountain systems, one old, one new. Between that, the subsided portion that has resulted in the formation of plains in the southern part of Europe. So this is the southern mountain system. So overall, again, taking a look at the physiographic divisions, the first one we are talking about are the northwestern mountain system and northwestern mountain system. I'll mark something like this. The first one, let's mark it with red. So this is the northwestern mountain system. And then we have the southern mountain system. Southern mountain system, let's mark it throughout over here like this. This is all the southern mountain system, right there up to here, Carpathians and all. And from here, the parts that are the from northern France, let's extend whole of this portion as the central plains. So these central plains, primarily the central lowlands or the central plains, they are made up of new sediments. Apart from the parts of northern Russia, okay, rest whole of the portion now are very recent new sediments. So these are the three physiographic divisions of Europe. Now going beyond that, taking a look at the major volcanoes of Europe. Now Europe has a lot of volcanoes. Obviously the question would be why? Why and how? Volcanism in Europe primarily is a result of plate interaction, and as we have seen now, these plate interactions come up in the form of the convergent plate boundary between the Eurasian plate and the African plate. African plate is subducting underneath the Eurasian plate, which has given rise to a lot of volcanism in the southern part of Europe. Be it Italy, be it France, all of this region has a lot of volcanoes. The second part that I identify would be the part that would be Iceland part. Iceland has a lot of volcanoes primarily because it sits right there on the top of the mid-oceanic ridge. So first of all, taking a look at the major volcanoes, the first one I see over here is Mount Etna. And you can see the location of Mount Etna over here, Mount Etna in Italy. That's the first. This is a stratovolcano. The second one now is Mount Stromboli. Mount Stromboli again in Italy. And Mount Stromboli now is called as the lighthouse of Mediterranean. In fact, Mount Stromboli is one of the most active volcanoes on the earth. It keeps erupting, and you can see the type of eruption due to which it is called as the lighthouse of the Mediterranean. In addition to that, some other volcanoes of this region. So for that, first we can talk about International Association of Volcanology and Chemistry of Earth's Interior. So International Association of Volcanology and Chemistry of Earth's Interior. It has identified 16 most active and dangerous volcanoes across the world and has given them the name that is decade volcanoes. So decade volcanoes, which are 16 in number. Out of these 16 decade volcanoes, we have 4 in Europe. So becomes important to learn the names of these volcanoes. So which are these volcanoes? The first one, that is Mount Etna. Mount Etna already I have shown you earlier. Okay, and along with that we have Mount Vesuvius. Both of these are in Italy. Mount Etna, again pretty much like Mount Stromboli. Mount Etna is counted as one of the most active volcanoes on the earth, as well as Mount Etna is the largest volcano in Europe. Apart from that, we have Santorini, and Santorini volcano is in Greece. So Santorini volcano, and we have next volcano, that is Teyde. Now Teyde is in Canary Island. So these are the 4 volcanoes from Europe which have been included under the list of decade volcanoes. Okay, has been identified by which whom? The IAVCEI. In addition to that, one more volcano that you may note down, okay, which very recently has become active and therefore was in news, would be Geldinga and this Geldinga is in Iceland. So these are some of the important volcanoes of Europe. And the next part now, the last part, that is the drainage of Europe. Drainage, very roughly we have to know few of the important rivers. So in this case, the drainage basins overall, if you see, the drainage basins can be identified as the Mediterranean drainage, can be identified, let's say major one is a North Sea, or over here we can identify it with respect to Black Sea, Sea of Azov, or Caspian Sea also. So in this case, the first one, that is the Mediterranean drainage, and with respect to Mediterranean drainage, the first one is Rhone, another one that is Po. In fact, Po and Tiber, both of these now flow in Italy. These are most important Mediterranean drainage. Then in addition to that, the North Sea drainage. And with respect to North Sea drainage, the important one would be Elbe and Rhine, these two from Germany. And then you have Seine in France. These are 3 most important rivers of the North Sea drainage. Then next one, that is the Black Sea drainage, and the Black Sea drainage over here you can see Danube and Dnieper. These are Black Sea drainage. Then we have river Don, a very, very important river of Europe. And this you can see has a drainage into Sea of Azov. This is Sea of Azov. And then we have the longest river of Europe. Longest river of Europe, that is Volga River. So Volga River over here you can see has a drainage into Caspian Sea. In addition to that, what flows into this part, that is Bay of Biscay or Baltic Sea, there are numerous of small rivers here and there, primarily because the Europe's drainage system is characterized by radial drainage, and radial drainage means there would be a highland, and from that highland a number of streams would be flowing outwards. So that is a centrifugal radial drainage system. And here, most importantly, in this part, if you see, you have the highlands in the form of Scandinavian highlands, or here if you see, there is this alpine highlands. Both provides ideal conditions or scenarios for the formation of a centrifugal radial drainage pattern. So this is all about the physiography of Europe, as well as the mountain systems, the volcanoes, as well as now the drainage system of Europe. So everyone, that's it for today's lecture. Let's meet you in the next lecture, next videos lecture series with a lot of other informations. Till then everyone, take care.